carburetors, alternators, starters, distributors, tools, and much, much more. ProFormParts.com. You'll find all that there. And, of course, Crew Chief Pro. Get your dial in order. The weather changed. You need to know what's going on. Contact Don Higgins over there, crewchiefpro.com. George, what's going on, man?
I got to say oops.
Looks like you said ops.
Yeah, I said ops and oops, and hey, we were talking that whole time without sound, so when we come out of commercial break, you're probably going to have to do that all over again.
Man.
Yeah, you love me, dog. Hey, that's what you get for talking trash about my seat. That's why didn't nobody hear it. She was talking trash about my seat the whole time. Not one person heard that. Don't say it again. Hey, leave my seat alone. This thing gets me through the work day. I know it squeaks a little bit, man, but don't hold it against me, everybody. Casey, man, pretty good show we got planned on today, dude. Hey, I definitely don't have any racing going on this week, unfortunately. What about you?
Oh yeah, we got the Roger Rhodes race, man. It's been rescheduled several times. Foot brake race. I know our guest today does a little bit of each, just like I do, kind of. I might not be great at either one. Definitely not as good as he's done lately, man. But Roger Rhodes is a great place to go figure out what you're made of, because it costs $25 for an entry fee, guaranteed $200 to win. I think it's 800 runner-up, maybe 6 or 4 to semi, something like that. They pay back pretty far, man. They give all kinds of round prizes away, have raffles. Last year they had 175 entries, because for a $25 entry fee, what do you expect, man? $20 buybacks? I mean, come on. Foot brake racing at its finest. All of you that are in the North Carolina, Virginia, South Carolina area, if you're a foot breaker, you need to go to Kinston Drag Strip this weekend. It's going to be perfect weather for it, too.
Yeah, man, it ought to be pretty good out there for you, man. All I know is last time out, and our guest was there as well, and I don't think either one of us did very well, and he might have went home with a broken part. I think he got down to, you might have got a little deep. We'll talk about that in a little bit, but yeah, definitely was pretty quick out there. Old Mo was running the low 590s. He ain't been that fast in a while, so that felt good. But hey, man, let's might as well get off into this show and bring to the stage somebody who just flat kicked some teeth in, took a lot of names while he was doing it, laid down a lot of packages. Somebody you might not know. I've known for just a little while now, being here in the Texas area. We got Eric Sandlin in the building. Eric, what's going on, buddy?
Same old, just another Tuesday evening.
That's what I'm talking about, man. Hey, I think I've been seeing a lot of people going to chime into this one here, and I've been hearing a lot of chatter, and we might get some pretty interesting chats, some comments in the chat that might make us all laugh. So let it all out, dude. This ought to be fun. But start.
I don't think an hour is long enough for that.
Yeah, we're gonna fit it all in somehow, dude. I ain't stopping until we get it all. Got the easy E out of Eric Works. Look at them, they're already coming in. So hey, man, I know a lot of people in here might already know this story, but honestly, I don't. Right? So the first question, GBR, tell us the story. How did Eric Sandlin get hooked on bracket racing?
It had to be my mother. She gave me this horrible disease.
Oh shoot.
She was 3 months pregnant with me. I'm the older of the two. She was racing at Green Valley back in the day. And that's just how it started. I guess it's in the blood and never quit.
I heard that, man. I heard that. That's pretty interesting, though. I think I might have got a chance to meet your mom last week for the first time, Eric, or at the oil pastures or cow patties, whatever it was. Yeah, I thought that might be where I met her for the first time. That's pretty neat, man. What she used to drive?
So my parents still own a 57 210 business wagon, and they bought it in '77, and she drove it barefooted with a 4-speed at Green Valley back in what's now Keller area in Texas. But that's one of the fondest stories that she will tell anybody. So I guess there. Then they had a little T-bucket that was probably some gas pipe welded thing. It was dangerous, went 10s in the quarter mile back in the day. I don't know. It was wild stuff, but you'd have to ask her.
Got it.
That's interesting, man. You don't hear that. You hear a whole lot of my dad got me into it, but you don't hear a lot of my mom got me into it, man.
No, and that's the coolest part about it is, I mean, it was her and another guy not my dad, and no, my mother never went astray, but that he was a family friend, and you know, he got us into it just as much as she did, and kept us going in it, unfortunately, and unfortunately at times, let's say that, but we still do it today, and that's my brother's the same way. I mean, he'll tell you just the same, but it's because of her.
Awesome, man. Cool story. So tell us a little bit about your racing program, like what you race, what engine, what you run, stuff like that.
My truck is a 75 Love. Right now it's got a 378 aluminum headed small block in it. And, I mean, it's a little higher compression than what I want it to be. Leaf spring, slapper bar, 9-inch GBR, Mickey Thompson radial. My brother's is a 434 big tire S10. We had around quite a while, and really just try to make the most of what we got. We don't have a lot, so we got to make the most of what we got. There's people behind us that make it better.
So what's obviously it sounds to me like you and your brother both are all about the trucks, man, which of course that's probably why you're buddies with George, I'm sure. George's all about those door trucks. Yeah. So what's your theory on those, man? Like, you just like the trucks better? You got any ideas of why do you choose the trucks? Because until I want to say, you know, that trucks started catching on probably about 20 years ago, whenever that round body S10 first started coming out, with pro stock trucks came out. But it seems like they've really caught fire in the last 5 years. So what's your thoughts on that? You just like it better? Or?
It's what I've always been told two things. It's nice to race a fishbowl. Okay?
Yeah.
You can see out of it. And some people will argue, well, you can't see out of the left side of a truck very well. Well, I beg to differ, because you got to do your seat different. All right? Not my problem. I can tell you how to fix it, but it's going to cost you money. And then the other thing was, you can never make a truck work. I always heard you can never make a truck work. Never make a truck work. Well, I beg to differ on that, because I race one that goes 630s with a 9-inch tire and a leaf spring and no front end travel. So I don't want to give up too many secrets, but engine placement, transmission placement, weight, figure it out. That's what I look at. And my brother's is big tire, 4-link. I mean, and it's got, I mean, if you put good pieces on anything, it's going to work. You have to spend the money in the correct places, period.
I was just having a conversation with my buddy about that earlier, and he said, I can't remember his exact phrase. I'll have to look it up here in a second, but it's something you'd agree with. It's basically, he's saying, as long as you spend the money on the car will pay you back later, kind of type deal. And that's true. And to be honest with you, speaking of the whole Caltrax leaf springs thing, I've started looking into that lately, like just looking at it type thing. And I mean, my Nova's a ladder bar car anyway, so it's you know, done what it's going to be, what it's going to be. But I think that actually is a lot better than a lot of people give it credit for. As far as I at times think it might be better than a ladder bar. I know you can use them with ladder bars and stuff like that, but Caltrax leaf spring with sliders thing, I just feel like it gets stiffer as it needs to be stiffer type thing when it's wheeling.
I have never ran Caltrax.
Really?
I have leaf springs and with slapper bar, traction bars.
Okay. Oh, I got you. So it's real old school.
Whenever I built this truck that I raced, not my brother's, but when I built it, I said, you know what? This is what I got to work with. I'm on a budget. I'm going to make the most of what I have to work with, because I'm on a budget. I don't have the power to pull a big tire. So I'm going to leave it as is and figure it out from there. And I've had plenty of people in the business when I used to build race cars or assist with building race cars that gave me the knowledge to pass that on to my own equipment. And then a lot of times to my friends too, you know, and that's a struggle in itself at times. But I'm fortunate enough to know what to do with what,
Right.
for the most part.
And ultimately, it's kind of like a carburetor. It's one of those deals where, as depending on who touched it last, it could be good or bad.
Yes. Try it. If this don't work, go the other way.
Right.
It's always going to be a way to figure it out. No, but you're totally right, man. As far as for passing it on to the buddies as much as you can, I can hear people in here saying, "Hey, tell them we didn't come to hear him talk. We came to get some advice for free." But Eric works that way. If you got a hit list, AE, you can write Eric works on your hit list. He the one. And I seen old Maxie in here talking about your 1978 trailer too, but you can add him to the list if you want to as well. So
he's got the 8 and the 7 backwards. You know what? He's got the 8 and 7 backwards.
Oh man, he gonna come in here in a minute. No man, so obviously, E, you went up to Columbus and stuck your foot in some rear ends. Got the draws, whatever you want to call it. You took it. You took the cookie. Tell us what it was like to race on that level. A lot of us in this community, some of us do race big money. A lot of us don't. I've been fortunate enough to be at a couple of big money events myself, but never a fling event. Break down that event for us, and we'll get off into some of those rounds. And obviously you laid 005, I believe, total in the final round. I'm pretty sure I was awake and running around my house. You had some cheerleaders out there, and I was one of them. I'm not gonna lie about that. So talk us through the event, E.
First of all, thanks for the cheerleaders at the racetrack and at home.
Yep.
You know, that trip was unbelievable. Whether it turned out like it did or not, I don't know. It kind of started off as a struggle. I don't drive my brother's truck much, and his brakes are a lot different than mine, so I was having some trouble staging. But you know, you chase different things in this sport, and I was particularly chasing a big check. Like, I have never won a big check that's had my name on it. There's plenty of them. I know my screen's blurred, but there's plenty of them behind me throughout my shop that have my brother's name on them, whether it be in his equipment or my equipment. And that's not all the ones that he's kept for himself at home either, but there's plenty of them. And just going through the rounds that day, the first couple rounds, my opponent was late, and I'd laid down some pretty good test runs on Wednesday, and then Thursday I ran into the Tommy Plott train twice. I was only single hitter. My brother was running the A number, and I was running the C number, so we could kind of compare the weight difference, and I could use that. But then whenever he lost in I think it was a re-entry of the second round, kind of lost that advantage that I possibly built up, which obviously I didn't build it up as much as someone that was doubled, you know, but just kept rolling up there. And that's one of those days where everybody's got them. You can't do any wrong, whether it be from pulling in the staging lanes, putting a dial in on your car, hitting a tree, dialing it, or, you know, driving the finish line. You just can't do any wrong. And that's the day that I had. I mean, I was, you know, covering a 2 early and to be 36 round 4, and my guy's 2 red and dead 0, and I'm 36 and 3 thou under to the floor. Like, what do I do now?
Yeah, I've been there, man. What am I doing here? Type of thing.
Yeah. Like, I definitely don't belong here. But it you know, going throughout the day, every win like meant so much to me because I was just I race on a budget. And the budget is either you got it to race or you don't.
Right.
I don't race off of my dinner table. And I don't take money away from my family and my children to go do this. That's why Max said something about my 78 model trailer, which is actually an 87, but I don't do that. I just don't do that. If there's not money in the account, I don't go race. I'll sit here and work or figure out how to make the money to go and race. But every round meant more and more and more. And then a split came. And I didn't even realize what round it was. Like, I'm just writing numbers in logbooks, and I look up, I'm like, God dang, it's round 6. And they're calling door cars and dragsters separate. And we get up there, and there's 5 door cars left. And I thought, man, there ain't many left. I mean, it's round 6, round 7, whatever it was. So I asked the staging lane guy, I said, hey, how many are total left? He said, 10. I said, oh, we got to do something here.
Yeah.
This is a thought that's running through my head. I've never been in this spot before in my life. And so I wasn't going to say anything because I'm out of place. Like, I'm completely out of place. And Jack Liggett, who was in front of me in the staging lanes, who I ended up having to run that round, we're all about to get in our cars as door car drivers, and he says, hey, we're going to do something here? I mean, there's 10 left. And so we said, yeah, all right. I said, we got to talk about it at least. Talk to staging lane guy, we're like, look, at least have them come up here in person. They don't have to bring their cars. At least come up here and talk about it. So they called them to the staging lane. They brought their cars, and it worked out how it worked out. But I told my brother, I said, you go handle that. I don't want any part of it. I don't want to get complacent.
Mm-hmm.
I'm afraid that at that point I get complacent, and I'm not there for the main reason I'm there for, which real reason I'm there to have a good time and spend all the racing money I have at that point.
Right. So that leads perfectly into my next question, kind of, man. And I've been typing over here and kind of writing down some ideas, but you bring up the fact that obviously you and your brother are doubling together. So you're both single, just so happens to be in the same vehicle. So the Spring Fling, obviously, you won one of the Spring Fling races where doubles were allowed. What was your thought process on the Spring Fling Bristol, which, by the way, sold out in, 3 minutes, 5 minutes, something like that, 425 entries, all singled. What's your thought process on that? What's the advantage to being doubled versus singled? And if everyone's singled or everybody's doubled, what's your thought process in all that?
I'm going to start with the negative. Double, I don't like it. And the reason I don't is because I'm not a guy that can afford to double all the time. When I double, do I feel like I have an advantage? Of course.
Right.
The reason that I say that is because the person that can double and have the financial ability to be aggressive,
right,
I feel they have a better advantage at what we do. And I don't like that part of bracket racing, because bracket racing to me is built on the quote common blue collar man with not the most money. But if you allow doubles, and you're allowing the person with the more money to have a better chance to win. Mm-hmm. And I don't like that.
Mm-hmm. Right.
However,
go ahead.
I do like it when you allow it, because say my brother and I, like my brother and I could figure out, hey, there's a 400 difference between the two of us, like 43,000 difference. Okay, well, I can use your runs as my runs, and I do the same with my daughter whenever she foot brakes and I top ball. I use that as another run. And do I like it? No. But when I can afford it, of course, I love it. But there's not a lot of times that I can afford it. And,
Right.
And I'm sure the masters down there, the masses are chatting, going, yeah, he can afford it. Yeah, he can. Yeah, no.
Well, the thing is, man, and that's me and you are on the same line of thinking. And I totally understand the reason why you could run for $30,000, $100,000. Now it's over $1 million, things like that. They're getting ready to run for $500,000 this weekend, is because of double entries. That's why. Now, I don't know if Great American, if they're singles or doubles or whatever, but I'm just saying in general, the reason we can run for the money we're running for bracket racing right now is because of the double entry guys. But the reason they have to run for that big money also is because they have to justify paying that big entry fee twice.
And I mean, I didn't say that, but yes, I get why there's buybacks and why there's double techs and why there's lottos and second chance races. Every bracket racer needs to look at both sides of the situation. I am not a promoter. I mean, would I like to do some type of promotion? Yes. Do I have the backing behind me to do it? No. But do I get both sides of the situation? Of course I do. Right. Any logical bracket racer gets both sides of the scenario, whether it be from a track operator standpoint or a promoter standpoint. Everybody has to cover their bills. And that's why whenever you roll up there at 10 cars for $30K and you're Lord knows what into a tab, you're like, yeah, maybe I ought to consider talking about something.
Chop it up. Let's do something.
Let's talk about getting home. Let's talk about cutting some of the losses on this deal. And there's a lot of people that have the ability to go, nah, don't care. But me personally, I like to look at that deal from both sides. I understand why there's buybacks. I understand why when you go to your regular local track and they got 40 cars for top bowl that pays $2,000, that you have a first or second round buyback. And I get that. Like, they have to cover their costs. And we don't. Right. I have never questioned one owner or promoter about what their cost is and got a total tally. But I know for a fact that it's close for them. It's a tight margin that they have to deal with. And I get that. I understand that completely.
And ultimately, it's I'm going to say one thing real quick, George, but ultimately it's one thing that, everybody forgets about, which is, first of all, the promoter's risking a whole lot more than the racer is, because the racer's there just to have fun. They're not risking their house. But ultimately, at the end of the day, no one forced you to go. So if you didn't like the way that it was, then don't go. And then there you go. You don't have to complain about it on the internet. Just don't go. And if more people don't like it, then that person goes under and then they're gone. Or you can just sit at home and not participate, and someone else will go and they'll have a good time. But people vote with their wallet.
If you sit at home, you have no voice.
That's true.
It's fact.
That's 100%.
Please, somebody snip that comment right there and make it a meme, because we got a lot of people who will just sit back and talk and never even show up to the race in the first place. I do like Max's take on this one here, and he says if you have to pick one race to travel to from Texas, out east or up north, you aren't going to pick a single entry race versus a double entry race. And it kind of does make sense, Eric. I don't know, Casey, if you feel the same, but to Max's point, and even if I am going to it, I'm still not double entering because my budget doesn't allow me to. Eric, would you double? Are you picking a race to go to that you can double in? because I'm kind of not. I'm just being real. Max putting you on the spot?
No, he's not. I just think it's funny coming out of Max because his wife's a lawyer. But anyway,
Max.
I went to, so on this trip, we, Greg Clark and I flew into Bristol, Tri-Cities, and we watched Saturday's 100K at Bristol. We made a trip out of it, okay? And I had the sole intention that my brother was going to fly home from Columbus on Labor Day Monday, okay? So Eric has the S10 to himself, total. Because Chad wanted to take his stuff to the WFC 250K. And I thought, okay, you know what? No big deal. I'm just going to single. And because that's all the money I had. And I was fine with it. I was completely fine with singling by myself. I'm sure I see George is giggling over there. Max is probably busting me up. But
Nah.
I had, you know what? I'm fine with singling. I don't care. The more information, the better, obviously. But I was fine with singling. Do I want to go to a race like that in double? Well, of course I do. But more than likely, whenever I get my teeth kicked in third round, I'm probably going to come back and I'm going to try to forget it, but I'm probably going to get my teeth kicked in again because I did the opposite. Go out there, dang, gave it up at 3,000. What do? Then I take 10 and I break out. You know, it's just the way it is.
Right.
Like, I mean, there's a lot of, I'm seasoned, but I'm not seasoned like a lot of these people that we watch regularly on Motor Mania TV go or you know, on YouTube, go rounds and go rounds and go rounds and go rounds and make it look easy. I'm not that guy. I never have been, probably never will be.
I will say that
day in the sun and I'm good with it. But.
Right. I will say that the one thing about double entry that is a good thing is, you know, going back to what George was asking you, if you're going to travel and you're going to go somewhere, you know, potentially 500, 600,000 miles away, then number one, I would like the option to find one of my buddies to do like you and your brother did and say, hey, let's split the diesel fuel. Let's both drive my car, your car. And then that way we take one trailer, one truck, and we can disperse the expenses that way. Yep. Or I could also say that, you know, there's a lot of people that say run their own business or don't have a lot of time off work and things like that. And they can take a week-long vacation and they can race essentially. If they race, say, gamblers races and all the other races, they could race 10 times in 1 week. And that's how much a lot of guys that live up north might race all year.
Right.
Mm-hmm.
So, you know.
And we're fortunate in the South that we get more opportunities to make more mistakes, to learn from those that we still don't
spend more money.
Yeah, but we still spend more money. Yes. Sure.
Right.
Right. No, but this is a good break point right here, Casey. I think let's take the time right here, switch over to those marketing partners, give them a little bit of airtime. We're gonna come back with more from OE, as I like to call him, that Eric Sandlin guy, and get your questions in the chat if you got them. It's been a little bit of fun poking too. Keep it up. This is it's getting pretty entertaining in here. Don't go anywhere. We'll be right back to you.
TSR Racing Products has everything you need to make your Power Glide Turbo 350, Turbo 400, and 727 transmissions the best they can be on the street or at the track. With exceptional products, customer service, and over 30 years of experience, TSR Racing Products is always available to help their customers with any of their transmission needs. In-house machining ensures you only receive the best products from TSR Racing. Visit TSR Racing Products at tsr-racing.com or give them a call at 800-394-5889.
BRG Motorsports 3D printed racing parts are able to provide you with whatever you desire to enhance your drag racing operation. Items like safety belt magnets, nitrous bottle holders, and even quick release delay box mounts are able to be obtained from BRG Motorsports 3D printed racing parts.
Have a look at top-selling items such as helmet hooks and steering wheel hooks, which are proven to make it easier to maneuver throughout your race car. You can contact BRG Motorsports 3D printed racing parts at telephone number 765-729-1177.
Innovation never sleeps at Proform, and we're making our popular Black Race Series carburetors even better by adding new features that will set them apart from the competition. Some of the newest features include a newly designed main body with contoured Venturas for better airflow and a new inside and outside two-step down leg boosters for increased atomization and better throttle response. Also, newly designed fuel bowls with increased internal baffling for better fuel control and the lower fuel ramp for reduced turbulence. There are also some new upgrades to point out. The fuel bowls now both include nitrofill floats, and the throttle base plate now has slab shafts for better airflow. These new features, combined with a fully adjustable high-flow main body with screw-in air bleeds, billet metering blocks, high-performance billet throttle base plate, and aluminum fuel bowls with sight glass windows, makes for a great street strip carburetor that packs a punch.
Welcome back. Welcome back. Welcome back. Thank you to everybody who's attending this show today. Looking pretty good over there in the chat. Thanks everybody for chiming in, giving your words of encouragement and discouragement at the same time. There. So can't do this here at Going Bracket Racing without our marketing partners, Mr. BRG himself. He's actually texting right now. He's out there watching as well, Casey. So Crew Chief Pro in the house. Saw you guys launched a new trailer station that you've tested pretty thoroughly. That's pretty economically friendly. That's my way of saying cheaper than most. Okay, so if you guys didn't see the Going Bracket Racing post that we put out, get a look at it. It does work with Crew Chief Pro software. You got Team 14 Motorsports. You got Syntex Printing out there at Temple, Texas. Ken Jones Performance, probably the best to do it when it comes to tuning an alcohol carburetor, building an alcohol carburetor. That's Ken Jones Performance, in my opinion. Driven Racing Oil. Thank you for what you do. The best oil out there, in our opinions. Proform Parts. Definitely. And last but not least, them old boys at TSR. So, Casey, I know I had us on mute in the very beginning of the show. I don't know if you want to do it any differently than what I just did it, but hats off to all you guys that keep the lights on here at Going Bracket Racing. So, back to the show. What do you think?
Back to the show, man.
Back to the show.
I think he forgot one.
Who I forget?
Driven Racing Oil.
No, I didn't. Nope. I said them.
Come on, Casey. He forgot them, didn't he?
It's the best racing oil out there. I can't forget that.
Use the code GBR10. Get yourself 10% off your order. Thanks to GBR.
GBR10. GBR10. Anyway. One of the questions that seems to swirl Going Bracket Racing community quite a bit, Eric, and something that I think you probably can shed light on as you do them both. I'm pretty sure Chad does them both too. You know, Sandlin Family Racing can go off the bottom or off the top. You know, so give us a rundown. You know, how do you approach both classes? Is it the same? Is it different? I mean, you're off the bottom, you're off the top. What do you think? Is it like riding a bike?
I think you asked the wrong Sandlin on that one. But I've always said, and no offense to anybody out there, but I've always said that hitting the bottom, at least on the foot brake, is a lot tougher than hitting the top. And it takes, no offense to anyone, but it takes more concentration to hit the bottom than it does the top. And
yep.
I used to hit the bottom pretty good when it was the antique bulbs with the incandescents, and I was all right, you know. I tried hitting it. My daughter does it a lot of time in my truck, and I don't get the opportunity. I don't want to take the seat away from her, but she wasn't there a couple weeks ago at the cow pastures, and I said, you know what? I'm just gonna hit the bottom and the top, and it was foot brake only, and I wasn't bad. So that gave me the homework to know if she was hitting it or not hitting it. But to me, it's a lot tougher to hit the bottom than the top. And to those out there that do it and do it in bottom and top bulb, especially here around here, which is unfortunate, they don't turn off crosstalk.
Yep.
For foot breakers or bottom bulbers, and that's a shame because I see one guy, Jake Howard, out there do it without it turned off, and that dude is salty on top and bottom, and he foot brakes in both classes. But to me, the hardest thing to do in this sport is foot brake or hit the bottom. But it's difficult, and I wish I was better at it. And I made some good runs the other day, but it was just, then whenever it come cutting time, I just fell out of the car and got ran over.
I've been there, man. No, I agree with that because, ever since I moved to North Carolina, there's a track real close to me that only bottom bulbs. And that's just all they do. It's shorter track. I think literally the reason is because if you have a delay box class, then your average delay box car is going to be 550s or faster, and you have a hard time stopping there. Well, I started bottom bulbing there, and obviously I ran junior dragsters, things like that. Not even the same thing, but the fact of the matter is that I've done it before, and I agree with you 100% that bottom bulbing is harder because everybody sees, including myself, I got a back half door car. I can run either class. Just take the delay box in. I got it on a trailer plug, take it in and out. But you see bottom bulb and you're like, man, all you got to do is be, a lot of times if you're 30 on the tree, you're in the race. If you're 30 on the tree and top, at least out here, you're not even close. I'm just saying, like in a general spectrum. But the fact of the matter is, for sure in top, if you're 30 on the tree, you're done unless you're just super lucky. But you could still at least hold enough where you can make something happen in bottom, But you don't realize how hard it is to be averaging a 20 on the tree and a teen on the tree off the bottom, because like you said, you might be leaving first this first time, and then you might be leaving a second later this next time. Or the worst case scenario, the hardest thing in my opinion always is when you're about a half second apart and it's like blah blink, blah blink, blah blink, and you're the second guy. That's the worst, man.
I see it with my daughter. Like I saw it the other night. We were invited to the invitational at Tuesday at Ennis for the points deal, and my daughter had a spot of about 1500s. She doesn't use a blinder, which she's 19 years old and hadn't been racing long. And I'm trying to introduce some stuff to her, and I think she got caught in that 1500 spot deal, and she missed it bad. And it's getting her uncomfortable to be better, but also she doesn't have a whole lot of run time. But yeah, there's something to that, is a blinder, whatever it may be. I mean, even if you hold your hand up here or use a index card like Fincham does, like a sure, like this, like just block that thing, But it's a lot. It's difficult. It is very difficult. Even top bulb nowadays it's difficult to win. Everything that we do, that we love to do in bracket racing, is difficult to win. And I don't know that it was any easier back then, but we've learned so much now that it makes it look easier in the past. If that makes any sense.
It's perfect sense.
Yeah. There's no ducks anymore, period. I don't think there were really before, because good people are always going to be good. But I do think the car used to be able to win you races back in the day. I think now the car can lose you races. You have to have a good car, whereas back in the day, you didn't necessarily have to have a great car. You just had to be good. But now it has to be great, because there's a better chance for the car to lose you a race a lot of times versus the driver.
Yes.
You also got to be conscious of the other car in the other lane that's 90% great. You know what I mean?
Yeah. I mean, you cannot stage nowadays thinking, my 30 pack, 40 pack's going to be good in any class. I don't care. I tell my daughter, I said, if you're 20 pack or 40 pack, 20 to 40 pack in bottom bulb, you got a good chance to win against some. Others,
right,
you have no chance. And that's
right.
the unfortunate part about what we do right now, is that everything's so good. You know, we got to look at loosening this stuff up.
But that's at the same time why it feels so good to win, because you really accomplished something. You know, you didn't just, it's very, very rare you just fall your way into a win anymore. Like, you had to at least earn it a few times, you know.
Right.
So kind of staying on that whole subject of, you know, just things being tough. The original reason I feel like for people to start separating door cars and dragsters was because people thought that dragsters have a predominant advantage over door cars. And that kind of goes back to my thought process of what I was saying earlier in the show about the whole carburetor's as good as whoever touched it last. That's for sure the way with door cars. My personal opinion is a dragster, you can bolt a motor from, say, Huntsville can sell you a motor, TSR can sell you a transmission, and you can buy a brand new Race Tech dragster, put them all together, it's going to be 90% good, because the dragster is just going to, it's a purpose-built machine. Can't do that with a door car or door truck like y'all like to run and stuff like that. You have to work on it. But after you work on it, do you see that there is a major advantage or even a slight advantage to dragsters over door cars? And what would you say that is as a whole?
Major advantage? Yeah.
Well, because my major advantage would be the fact that headwind, because headwind will not affect a dragster. I've driven a ton of dragsters. It'll minimally affect a dragster at most. But a door car, especially like George and I were talking about this the other day, square body trucks like you guys, my Nova's pretty much a brick. Headwind matters. Doesn't matter to a dragster.
Yeah, no, 100% agree. The biggest, the hardest part about running something with doors or a body rather than a dragster is, yes, it's for one, there's two reasons. There's two things. Is you spend more time on the racetrack, so there's more variables. Okay. Second, it's the wind. The wind, the draft, things like that affect you, and you got to be able to compensate for things like that. And you know, it just, that's where it makes it hard. I mean, and we're racing bricks, literally a brick. Like, my stuff doesn't have a tailgate with a bed cover, but my brother's does. And so if there's a tailwind that switches because of a cold front or some weird mess like that, then yeah, it's hard to look up and go, hey, I need to dial down 300 because this cold front's coming in out of the north, and the racetrack runs from north to south. You know, it's not easy, and that's where realistically the weapon of choice would be a dragster. But you know, I think out east, and I don't race out there. Realistically, I've never raced out there, but the out east, the weather tends to not change like it does in Texas or in Oklahoma where we race, and it's challenging to have a race car that's good all year. I mean, this year we've seen anywhere from a negative 1,100 feet to above 5,000 feet, and we're sitting at 500 feet above sea level on a normal day. Right. And it makes it difficult to race a door car.
Right. And that's
put a blown dragster together, and that thing don't move, 112 days.
Right.
Right. And that's kind of what Bracket Racer 1 over here in the YouTube chat says. That's why dragster guys can't win in door cars often. And I think that kind of is what you're saying. every door car is so much different than every dragster, because all dragsters, for the most part, will react the same as long as they're the same combination. Like if you have a dragster with a 540 with one carburetor on alcohol, that dragster with 582, one carburetor on alcohol, it'll be a little faster, but if one picks up, the other picks up. One slows down, the other slows down. So it's just, I agree with what you're saying there. It's just, I think really what we're getting at here as a whole is you have to know your car. And that's why I think you see a lot of these older guys who've been running the same car for 20, 30 years. They know what's going to happen. They know the air feels like this, or they see dew setting in, it's going to do that, things like that. And that's why you can't just have a guy step out and just get in that car and start winning unless they're the elite of the elite. Like one of the few people I've seen do that is Corey Galletti, who probably has more laps every year than anybody that really races anymore, it seems like.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
He's got a great vision. Got a great vision for what transpires on the racetrack. He's young, and I love Corey to death, but tell him to bring that black truck home and race it here for a season. Let's see how good he does. I love Corey to death. I love his dad to death. I've known his dad forever, but I'll tell him straight to his face, bring that thing home to Texas and race it here for a season. And I want to watch you get your teeth kicked in.
Humble him a little bit,
racing where they're racing right now is not the same. And my brothers had the opportunity to drive that truck, but come home and race it for a season.
So,
and he has driven both ends, and he will be the first to tell you, I'm not holding that much in that truck. I'm trusting the truck.
Yeah, buddy.
And that's a lot of the door car guys. It's like we rely on our equipment to be really good. Really good. And, hate to give it away, but whenever we were in Ohio and I won the 30, quote 30, I was moving weight and, trying to put it dead on every lap. But I don't carry my phone with me, but I had a weather app. I didn't have a weather app. I had something else and was just constantly looking at it versus my logbook. Like, okay, what's it going to move? But I'm the guy too that you can ask a few people, and whenever it gets humid at home, my hands start sweating. Like whenever the sun goes down, I know the humidity goes up, and we're on methanol. So I start, okay, where am I at? I look at my humidity. Okay, I got to start moving numbers because my hands are sweating. And it's stupid. I get it. It's stupid, but
it works.
That's my old school style.
Right.
Like, something doesn't feel right. I shouldn't be sweating after dark, but I was.
So, speaking of, since we were on the subject of Corey Galletti specifically, he's a guy who goes to all these mega races pretty much anytime one's there. I'm sure he's in Montgomery right now. I mean, obviously he is. He was there last week. Yeah. So since you competed at that Columbus race, what is your thought process as far as the quality of, I don't want to say quality because obviously they're all high-end racers there and everything. They're good racers, but racing there with what is supposedly the best of the best, greatest of the great versus racing at home, which one's tougher, or is one not tougher than the other, or whatever? What's your opinion of that going all the way to the final round?
To a weak pea-brained person like me that gets nervous in high tense situations, it was a lot tougher out there. But it's funny that you asked me that question, because the following day after I won, Johnny Ezel, he's a buddy of ours, and I know Johnny. I love Johnny, and he come up and he said, you know what? You're never going to win if you're not here.
Mm-hmm.
I'm glad to see you here. I'm glad to see you do what you did. And that meant a lot. Like I love Johnny to death. I met Johnny way back when, way before a lot of people knew who Johnny Ezel was. I met Rose, his mother, and I didn't meet his dad then whenever I met Rose, but that meant a lot. But honestly, to me, to my weak brain and mind, it wasn't any different than any other daily or any Saturday night race at home. It felt different to me because I was basically on borrowed money. Like I wasn't borrowing any money, but I had a backup plan to get home. And every win lot meant so much to me. But whenever it was done, it was special. I've never been that excited to win a one round, much less the second round, much less the third, then the fourth. And every round meant that I was putting decent money in my pocket to get home. So I don't know how many people feel that way, but it was honestly, it wasn't any different than a Saturday night race at Ardmore Dragway or XRP or Abilene back in the day or Kennedale back in the day. It really wasn't any different. I put more pressure on myself, or I didn't put more pressure on myself and I just went with the flow. I don't know. I mean, I'm 1,000 miles from home, so whatever happens, happens.
Right.
I'm good. I got a backup plan.
So you think that was a part of the skill set? Because my next question is skill set. It surrounds what you feel would be a skill set that everybody needs to have to turn on more win lights. And your answer to that last question kind of it stuck with me a little bit there. Kind of go with the flow or more nonchalant, or versus you're at a big money race, so you're going to put more pressure on yourself. But Eric, what would you say, man, as far as for skill set goes, and if you want to see more win lights, this is an opinion-based community. I want to know Eric's opinion of what skill set does a driver need to turn on more win lights?
We need a simulator. We need a 360-degree simulator. That costs about $5,000 sitting in the shop.
Probably more than that.
Realistically, that's what I want. But you find somebody to build it, and they will come. We will buy them, and we will buy the updates. But that day, I mean, I couldn't do any wrong. I couldn't do any wrong. I drove over my head, got away with it, had luck where I needed to get away with it. And realistically, we need runs. We have to have runs. And I'm seeing this with my 19-year-old daughter. She needs to have the runs. She has the tools in the toolbox, but we got to have runs to learn how to use those tools in the toolbox. And even whenever you go out there and you got to run for the money, say you unload and your first time run is run for the money, and it's a staggered tree, and you get spotted by a 520 dragster and you're going 650. Look around, figure out how much you took or you didn't take. Tell yourself before you get to the ticket booth, hey, I took 20, and if you don't see the scoreboard, which sometimes we don't here at home,
right?
Like maybe I took 15, but I know I was good up front. You got to recognize what you were up front. You got to know where you're at with your race car, realistically, and be truthful with yourself. Period. Does that answer your question?
Absolutely. I'm sure a lot of people, it'll answer a lot of people's questions. It's not shocking to hear seat time be the actual the way. And then on top of that, the simulator part, that's 100%. It's 100% would be a game changer. Especially if you can go 360 all the way around. You can look behind you and something that actually simulates it down to the 10 at the line, where you can put in a computer that says, hey, I want the opponent to be 00 this, take that, or 00 this and run that close to his dial in, and you sit there and try to get under it every single time and watch how good you get.
Hey, where's Danny Hoff? I know Danny Hoff can do that.
Hey, if the electrics take over, then guess what? Those simulators will pop up.
I already ruined that deal for Danny Hoff, but whatever.
Hey man, so I got one other question here for you, which would be, if you could change anything across the spectrum of bracket racing for, say, 2024, let's just say. You only get one, too, so don't go picking like 9,000 things, because we've had a lot of people do that lately. But what would you change if you could only change one thing?
Can I get
change
two?
Anything?
Can I get two?
Yeah, you can have two. We'll give you two.
Okay, I'll give you two. As long as you're going to give me two, I'll give you two.
Two.
All right.
Two.
Which do you want first? You want the oldest or the newest?
Old to new.
It don't matter.
Old to new.
Old
to new.
George says old to new. Let's go back to the incandescents.
I agree with that.
Stacy, you get the new. Get rid of the grid.
I ain't worried about the
7L3 is all you can have. Get rid of the grid and the incandescents or the LEDs, and let's race like men. Let's work on our race cars like we used to, and hit the tree like we used to, and let's loosen this stuff up.
I wouldn't be worried about. I do agree with you as far as the grid being able to tighten things up, with being able to control the timing, control the hit and feed in power and things like that. A lot of people get confused on the whole cheating aspect of the grid. But so I agree with that on parts and not on other parts. But as far as the incandescents go, I can tell you for a fact, I caught the tail end whenever I turned 16. I caught the tail end of where smaller tracks still had the incandescents. And I can tell you for a fact that you had to, first of all, know what you were doing and know where you were at when you're crossing over. Because a lot of times it is not an advantage to be the fast car when you don't have crosstalk. Because when you have to cross over, you might have to add 10 at your local track. You might have to add 30 at this other track that has really pointed away. Or some tracks you might not have to add any. And I mean, I agree with that. I don't see the point. I really don't see the point at all as to why crosstalk was ever invented, personally.
I actually like crosstalk. I think he said incandescents. I don't know if he said get rid of crosstalk.
Oh yeah. Well,
but I like the process.
Well, the crosstalk with
I do like the crosstalk deal, but let's get rid of the LEDs.
LEDs out.
Yeah,
that would be interesting.
Bring the incandescents back with the crosstalk and no grid. And
my vote is.
I'm gonna make if a lot of people see this, I'm gonna make a lot of people mad. When was the last time, without a grid, that you saw even a 440 dragster go down the racetrack consistently on a racetrack that was not great consistently?
Well, I don't know, because back whenever before, because the grid's been around 20 years, so it'd be really hard for anybody to remember that, because there weren't 440 dragsters back then.
Exactly my point. You see so many of them nowadays that go down the racetrack at 440, 430, 420, 410, 40. It's like
380.
Hold on. Shit. My stuff over here in the corner, which is blurred out. You know, y'all blurred it out for a reason. I blurred it for a reason. This got a 7L3 in it. It's got a 9-inch tire with a sleeve spring and a slapper bar.
Yep. Same here.
You know,
I don't got a grid.
You asked the question, I answered, and I'm sorry to the masses that don't like my answer, but that's my honest opinion.
Yep.
If you
Well,
if you don't like it, then change, and I will.
Right.
I will be the first one to pat you on the back and go, man, your car's good, dude. Your car's real good, going 480s.
Yeah,
Right.
no.
Well, and and I told y'all before this show started that I've been building fences all day. So that's why I keep messing up where I'm thinking about here, because I was about needing a nap before we even got on here. Just saying. But, I was muted before, so nobody knew that. I'm just saying. But, no, I agree. I agree with parts of that for sure. As far as the consistency factor, I think you would see a lot of people change what they're doing. With it available, though, I mean, go as fast as you want because you can make it work. But it would be, for example, George, you'll know, and I'm sure Eric will know the name as soon as I say it. Remember how Buddy Farrell dominated Gateway's Megabucks series for like 5-6 years? He always won one of them, and he was always dialed 503 or 508 in that red car. Remember?
Yep.
I think he misspoke. I think he missed his last name.
No,
For real?
Buddy, for real.
For real. These boys for real.
Buddy, for real.
Yep.
Everybody knows Buddy for real.
You know what? There was a point in time where that 5.0 to 5.10, 20 range dragster, those dudes were almost impossible to take down for a while because it was just different. It was in between everything. Where at that point you might have been seeing some 470, 460 dragsters, but they were few and far between. You know what I mean? But so Eric, man, we've heard you make mention and felt a good time to bring up the newest Sandlin and Sandlin family racing, and we know that you are grooming Trinity. How is the training coming along? Is she mixing it up pretty good in your opinion? Got a long way to go. What you think? I know she's probably listening, so you better be careful.
She may be listening. She's up there at the house putting some piece of furniture together she bought.
Better her than you.
Yeah. I don't. They know now that I don't deal with that, but she's coming along. She's learning a lot and starting to use some tools that are in the toolbox that she's not comfortable using or not really needing to use at times or know how to use, but she's trying. And kid's gonna be salty. I got off the bottom or foot brake. I'll put her up against the best in the country anytime if I have the money, obviously. Mm-hmm. But she's doing good. She's coming up, and she needs it goes back to that deal. You just need seat time.
Yep.
She needs some seat time to learn with new tools, and she'll be all right.
Yep.
She got all the tools she needs. She's got to learn how to execute them tools.
That's another thing that goes back to our back and forth about double entries too. The best time to get seat time is to find some big race that's affordable, double enter it, and you'll bare minimum, if you think about it, if you just say you get a time run every day, hypothetically, which we know that doesn't happen anymore, but let's just say. So you'd get 2 time runs, you get 2 first rounds, and you'd get 2 buyback rounds. You get 6 every single day if you never win one.
Right.
No matter what.
Right.
Multiply that by 3 or 5. I think there's a lot of people out there that do stuff like that when they get new combinations and things. Like, they don't necessarily go out there trying to light everything on fire, although that's always the goal. But to get the seat time in, you can get a month's worth of runs in one weekend.
Hold it.
Why is he holding his hand?
Hold it.
You never know, man.
Hold it.
Stuart. He probably got me muted again.
Stuart, I can't say your last name. I think it's Olin. Uh-huh. He says
Pasquale.
That's Poo-Poo Pasquale.
It's Poo-Poo? Okay. Yeah. Poo-Poo said race him on the bottom for 5 G's.
Uh-oh.
You ain't got that kind of money. Tell him. You ain't got that kind of money, Poo-Poo.
It takes all that.
Boy, I ain't
Hey.
seen very many call outs
Hey.
here on GBR, Eric, but you brought him in.
Tell him I will if he foot breaks.
I don't gotta tell him. You just told him, hey, poo. Hey, he said he's in. You gotta let go with the feet,
I don't
man.
have $5,000, but I'll hit it off the bottom if you're gonna foot break.
Would we be getting to will we be getting to see the Burnout Championship of the World? Because didn't he make the tower disappear the other day?
Yeah, he did. Boy, he had some antique ass Goodyears too.
He said he can do it. Can he go deep?
No, he can't go deep. You know what? Hey, you know what? I'll give him that.
He said you can go deep.
He can go deep.
I'll tell you what. I'll bring the cameras and all the video equipment to make sure we get that live. If y'all do it, that's all I gotta tell you.
Legit.
I'll be there.
Legit. Let's go.
I'll be there.
Tell him. Wherever you get that turd running, we'll go.
We can make it happen this Thanksgiving, according to Maxie.
I love poo poo. I freaking love poo poo.
Hey, man.
If y'all don't know who Poo Poo Pasquale is, you better check him out.
They've been living under a rock.
Jason Overstreet Loose Chain say he'd be out there betting. We got some money running on it. Yeah, buddy. Oh man.
Man, Eric, we appreciate you getting on here with us tonight, man, and talking with all the GBR people, giving us a little bit of entertainment, but we always want to give the people the opportunity to thank whoever they need to thank before we get off the show, man. So who do you got to thank that helps you with your racing program or just general life, whatever?
Well, I apologize to a couple. First of all, the good Lord above that gives me an opportunity, you know, and then Mickey Thompson Tires, West May Carbs. Sorry, Ken Jones. West May Carbs. I need some of them TSR racing products for this transmission over here that I got to pull out again.
I saw you had it out last week.
Yeah. Shut up, George. West May Carbs, obviously. Mickey Thompson. Y'all, Men's Motorsports, they've been huge for our programming. I don't think a lot of people look at them as people for shocks in the bracket racing world. Them dudes are salty. They're salty. And they do people a good service. GPE starters, alternators out of Oklahoma. And then my wife and my family. My wife told me 10 years ago, I'll buy you a nice set of golf clubs. You would quit drag racing. I said, nah, ain't happening. I was building this truck, and you know what? I ain't quit yet. So, those mean a lot to me, and I appreciate y'all.
Oh man, yeah.
Enjoyed it.
That was great. No, that was
We
great.
need to do it again.
We can too. Trust me, there ain't nothing to it. But Casey, man, what you got in closing? Anything?
Man, I was just going to say, we got a lot of people over here on YouTube. We still got a bunch on Facebook. We might as well give away one of these TSR certificates that Eric was talking about over here.
Yeah. I mean, how we going to do it? Let's see.
Type in,
what we doing?
Visit TSR for your racing transmissions. That's a poo-poo Pasquale phrase right there.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
So it's a phrase that pays then, huh?
Make it where they spell his last name right, and then and then they get it.
Everybody who's
phrase that pays. Visit TSR for your racing transmissions. You type that in, get entered into a drawing. In case you send you out a $100 gift card. Especially those who they all waited to the end of the show too. I like that, Casey. Man, maybe we ought to do that more often.
Straight cut. I need a 180 straight cut.
A straight cut? We get you take your
up. I need a long 180 straight cut.
That's what I got in the 650 Nova right now. It doesn't even have the possibility of breaking it.
I got my Excel sheet up. Let's see who we got typing in the phrase that pays. Visit TSR for your racing transmissions. I will accept typos. It's okay, guys. Sometimes it's hard to hear. Yep.
Hey, thank y'all.
Oh yeah, man. Oh
Yes,
yeah,
sir.
anytime. But no, this so I guess the next race we got going on in the area is gonna be the oil pastures. You
Are
going?
we still live?
Oh yeah.
Oh yeah.
God dang, I gotta go.
Go. Well, go. You gotta go to the bathroom. Casey, how about that dude? He had to go to the bathroom. Middle of the show, gets up, goes to the bathroom. He can get away with it. It's all good.
Well, technically, it's the end.
Right. Good point. Let's see. We
All right.
got.
You got them all put in yet?
How the heck I'm gonna do that? Still got them coming in. I'm putting them in. Casey, man, we got a pretty big race going on. I guess we can fill some dead air. You know what I mean?
Yeah, man.
500K on the line, dude.
Yeah, 40 grander starts tomorrow. I don't think there's anything where you can watch the 128 car dragster shootout where I believe you get a Folk race cars stage 1 chassis or an American stage 1 chassis. Obviously, winner gets to pick what they want, runner up gets the other. Can't go wrong either way with either one of those. 40 grander starts tomorrow. There's 340 surrounding the 500K race. I want to say the 500K is going on Friday. So 385 car cap. I don't know if they met the cap. I knew they had a couple left as of today, but they closed entries after, I want to say, this dragster shootout. They won't be accepting any gate entry, so it will for sure be capped at maximum 385 cars. I know they were real close to it. So I would assume, knowing Britton Galen, that is a progressive purse, but the way they've done things in the past, I would suspect that $500,000 will be getting paid to the winner on Friday.
Right. Yeah, and I'm gonna guess that too. We know how they get down. So, what about the race itself? I mean, like I said, I think we thought it was gonna happen last week, and so we were calling it to happen last week, Casey. As Eric joins us back, I'm pulling back into the screen here, but we were calling that to all happen last week, and we talked about the weather change, those types of things. Those cars are going to be pretty tight out there this weekend, if I'm right. What are your thoughts on that? Is this the race last year where we saw Larice go like 380?
No, that was actually, well, it might have been. I can't remember. But I remember that it might have actually been the Million a couple years ago down there. It was a southern race, but everybody was saying the track was junk, but yet Holden Larice is going dead on, going like 389 every single run. So
Right.
It can't be that bad.
Right.
So, ultimately it's just one of those deals, man, where we all got to figure our own stuff out. We've all had those issues. We've all wanted to blame someone else for our problems, but ultimately the only person that can fix your race car is the person, either who you're paying to fix it or the person driving it. So
Right. All right. Good point there. Keep filling the air, man. I'm still typing names in.
I'll refrain from comment.
Last chance, guys. I'm almost done here. Getting ready to head over to the old random bot.
Y'all don't let me get in there because I'll win it.
Oh,
I need a new 180 gear set.
hey, man, they're about as indestructible as they get. I can tell you that. That's once you get those in there, you don't have to worry about that taking the tranny in and out. And I can tell you that's a pain. I've done that just as much as anybody in the last couple of years.
I've pulled the transmission out of this thing at least 5 times this year for converter change, or then I broke a gear set at cow pastures and had to come home. Then we had a Tuesday race and invitational and had to throw something together in a couple days, and it was all good on the jack stands until I got it on the ground. It wasn't so good.
Right.
But it's been good. It was consistent. Just don't feel good. So
Right.
that's why I know, well, you can see a lot of daylight underneath it.
Yeah, you just got to move over.
What's going on with that? You can see it. It's on jack stands now, ready to get the transmission out of it and start over for Thanksgiving. And we're gonna go to. I think our plan is to go to CP's race down at State Capitol for Thanksgiving.
Yeah. I'm actually going to
What's it
showcase
called
that
that?
flyer.
What's
That's
it
called
called
the
that, George?
Del Pelage Memorial Race.
Yeah.
Yep.
What is Pelage?
Pelage, yep. I always called him
Man,
Polish, and I knew I was
Vegas,
wrong,
dude.
and then I read it again, and I was like, I got to be wrong saying Polish. So it's got to be Pelage. It just makes sense. Yep.
Well, either way, we going?
Hey, man, you
Come
know,
on, George.
it's
You got
on.
a motorhome now.
I know, right? It's on my list of things to do, but I feel like the family might be coming in town for Thanksgiving, and that might make it a little tough. So
Well, they can follow your butt down there too.
and that
can't
would
they?
be pretty cool. It's about,
Yeah, I heard they're
I was talking
racers
about
too.
my dad. They definitely be going. You know.
Yeah. Yeah. But y'all understand we're going down here.
Right.
Hey, just throw a turkey leg out each window.
Each
as you
one.
pass.
Get them all follows, huh? All
Y'all
right,
still
Casey, man.
hungry?
Let me see. We got 16. I'm gonna generate. Actually, let me go ahead and share my screen so people know I ain't cheating. Hold on.
Max McLaughlin wins.
He didn't even enter.
That dude has a horseshoe stuck up his butt so far. Taste it.
Maxie didn't even enter. It's like, dog, Max, what are you doing? Is he still here? Nope. He's talking about buy this Mustang and you get a 180 straight cut in the transmission. He's got a Mustang.
Yeah, he is. I know he is.
Let's see. All right, I'm gonna cut the screen in, guys. We're gonna do 3 pulls. The third person will win to go to TSR.
I'm number one.
Kevin Moore. Yes, sir. Yeah, man. Great show. I would say, other than that, of course, one more time, thanks to GSR Racing Products, BRG 3D printed parts, Syntex printing, Driven Racing Oil. Don't forget to use code GBR10. Get yourself 10% off. Proform Parts. Visit proformparts.com for all your carburetors, alternators, parts, tools, and accessories. And Crew Chief Pro software. Visit crewchiefpro.com. George, I guess we will see him next Tuesday. Hopefully, I'll be doing some good at the Roger Rhodes race this weekend.
We will see him next Tuesday, and I muted Casey in the beginning. I'm sorry, nobody heard the winner, but Kevin Martin, hey, you won. Well, congratulations. Make sure you get your address information out to us on the Going Bracket Racing Facebook page, or send us an email at goingbracketracing@gmail.com. And until next time, as we always do, guys, see you guys next Tuesday. Special shout out Eric Sandlin, Sandlin Family Racing. Thanks for joining us here today. And we'll see you guys next week. Be safe out there. Take it easy.